And I kept thinking, please don't give me a live grenade. This is not gonna go well for anyone.
Hi guys, so today I'm doing something a little bit different. I will be interviewing my mother, who is a veteran. What branch are you in?
Army.
You did a 4-year contract, correct?
3 years.
3 years?
81, 82, 80.
How did you do a 3-year contract?
I don't know. It was 81 to 82, 82 to 83, 83, 84. So I got out in 84, so it was only 3 years.
Okay, interesting. But so this is going to be a 2-part series that I'm going to be doing on my channel. So next week I'm going to be interviewing my dad, who did 27 years in the Navy. So we're going to start with the shorter contract and go with my mom. So combined, they both have 30 years of experience in the military. All right, so we're going to get started with the interview. I'm going to be behind the camera asking her questions. Just enjoy her stories. Why did you decide to enlist in the Army?
Well, the truth is, I didn't have enough money to go to college. And I didn't have good enough grades to get a scholarship to college. And I didn't want to work at the local McDonald's for the rest of my life. And I wanted to go back and travel again. So the only other thing I knew how to do was join the Army.
Now, were either of your parents in the military?
My father was.
So is that what kind of opened up your options of like, oh, I can join the military?
Not so much that, but it made me choose the Army because he had been in the Army. Okay. So I just chose that branch because my dad was in the Army. Did
you get to pick your job when you went into the Army?
I did.
Okay, what job did you pick?
Well, there's a story behind that too if you want to hear it. So the first test I went to take, they take your test. You take a test to determine what you're best in. I just remember thinking, I failed this thing. But anyway, I didn't know the math part. I don't like math. But anyway, I took the test. Supposedly I was really good in medical field. They wanted to send me to school to be a nurse. That entailed doing basic training in San Antonio, Texas, going to school in San Antonio, Texas, and then getting stationed in San Antonio, Texas at the Army hospital there. And they thought they were doing me a great favor because I was only 17 and they didn't think that I wanted to leave home.
So you're from San Antonio, Texas?
Yes,
so
that's where I graduated high school.
So you enlisted while you lived in San Antonio, yes. And they were like, look, you're gonna stay here.
Yeah, isn't this great? And I'm like, no, I want to join the Army to get that out of here. So the other problem with that was that I don't like the sight of blood. So in high school, they sent me to be in anatomy. I don't know why. And I think it was in my senior year, and I went into class, and I walked into class, and there was a table, but everybody was standing around it, so I didn't know what they were doing. When I walked up to the table, I looked, and it was a head of a deer, and I thought, well, that's interesting. And then I went to some other spot where I could see better what was on the table, and all I remember was seeing red. And the next thing I was on the ground, and I opened my eyes, and it was the ceiling of the teacher saying, you need to go and get another class because you can't be in anatomy if you're going to faint at the sight of blood every time you see blood. So I knew then I couldn't be a nurse. So I told the Army recruiter there, that I didn't want to be a nurse and I didn't want to stay in San Antonio. And they said, well, then you have to take the test again so we can determine what else you can do. And again, I don't even remember what I scored or if I scored well or not. But then they said, all right, so you don't want to stay here. You want to go away for boot camp, you want to go away for school, and you want to go away for your first orders. And I said yes. And they gave you what was called a wish list. Mm-hmm. And on my wish list, I put, I want to go to Germany, I want to go to Europe again, because I was in Europe when I was a child, and I want to go to California, because I never lived in California. And I thought they'd send me to the beach or Hollywood. But anyway, that's another story. I didn't get either. But I did get California, and I did get Germany, which was great. So they said, how about a secretary? You want to be a secretary? And I said, sure, I know how to type. I took typing in high school. I can answer a phone, and yeah, I'll be a secretary. So that's what I did.
So for that job, did you have any special clearance or anything like that?
I didn't for the job, but when I finally got my first duty station in Germany and a particular job that I was given, I had to have a secret clearance for that. So I had to get that cleared. That was so I could look at certain war NATO stuff that I had to type up.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember a thing about it, so even if you did, I wouldn't know what to say.
You should have been a spy that captured you, and you'd be like, genuinely don't
know. Yeah.
You said you were 17 when you went to boot camp.
I graduated high school in May when I was 17, and I left in August of 1981, and then I was in boot camp August, September, and on October 21st, which is my birthday, is when I graduated boot camp, when I turned 18.
Okay, and guys, so her birthday is coming up, so everyone say happy birthday, Rachel, or Mama Rachel. So you went to basic training. What did you get to take with you? Because that's changed throughout the years. You see my bag upstairs.
They told us to take a white slip, white
like a
panties.
Dress. Okay.
Yeah, like a white slip underneath. Like a dress.
Now,
and
those underwear, do they have to be full bottom underwear? Like
yeah, granny
butt?
underwear. Yeah, there were no thongs back then. If I can, I don't know. Anyway,
It was the 80s.
I
There
never
were definitely
wore
thongs.
Okay, well I never wore them. And then white bras, and that was it. Everything else they gave you.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was very minimal.
Not even socks.
Not even a suitcase, I don't think. It was like in a bag, maybe. Like a trash bag for all I remember. I don't remember. It wasn't much.
So your first night at boot camp, what did you think? Getting off the bus.
Well, it was a long trip from San Antonio to Fort McCollum, Alabama for boot camp.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. And immediately the yelling started. And wake up and get off and hurry up. And they threw some blankets at us, I think, and put us in the barracks and said, get some sleep, you're going to get up early. And it was before it was even light out. I don't even think I maybe slept an hour or two. And then the next thing I knew, somebody came in yelling, screaming, banging the trash cans and the beds. And if you didn't get up, they took the bed and threw you out of the bed with the mattress and everything. And they gave you maybe 5 or 10 minutes to use the bathroom, wash your face, get dressed, and be outside in formations. And then early, like I said, in the morning, we didn't do PT that first day.
Yeah.
It was immediately, let's go to process.
Yeah.
And then it would start issuing all your stuff and
the shots.
oh yeah, the shots. And I remember the guys, they went on in with a bunch of hair, and then they came out and they were all bald. Luckily we didn't have to do that. What's that?
How long was your hair when you went in?
Oh, it was longer than this. It was like down to my
your waist?
Yeah, it was all the way past my waist, down to my butt.
Did you struggle with that?
Oh my gosh, I struggled bad. And the worst part was when I got my hat issued, the little green hat that you wear.
Yeah.
I had my hair like this in a big bun, and the bun was huge. And so I put my hat on, and I would use the hat to try to hold it up. So it was real tight, and I put bobby pins, but forget it. 10 push-ups or running, and that was the thing. As soon as you walked out, your foot hit the outside of any building, you better not walk anywhere. You were what's it called, double timing. Yeah. You had to run everywhere. So running, the hair falls, and it was maybe day 2 after everybody had to do push-ups because of my hair. I knew I was gonna get a haircut in the middle of the night while I was sleeping, so I asked, does any girl here know how to cut hair?
So you were scared they were gonna cut your hair off?
I knew they were gonna cut my hair. They were threatening already. We're gonna cut your goddamn hair off. And I had been given a nickname because I was the only Mexican there. I was called Tacos. Who knows here how to cut hair? Can you do anything for me? And this one lovely girl said, yeah, I can cut your hair. And so she took my hair and put it in a long braid and cut it literally all the way up here. Everybody was in there watching because they couldn't believe I was doing it. But I did mail it home to my mom, a big long braid.
That's nice. And she didn't write you a letter back, did she?
Never got a letter at camp, yeah. That's just the way that went. But anyway, so then my hat didn't fit. So
too big.
I was constantly doing this so I could see. That was awful. Then I had to pin the hat to my head just to keep the hat on because it was so big. And they weren't going to issue another hat. At that point, it was, sorry, you get one hat and that's all you get.
So the physical part of boot camp, how did you handle Were you an athlete before you went?
No.
You
I remember waking up the first day after the first time we had to do PT. And literally thought I've been hit by a bus because I can't move one muscle. My hair hurt. Everything hurt. My eyelashes, I couldn't blink. Everything hurt.
So the food, did you like the food there?
No. I'm a very picky eater anyway.
Yeah.
You can't tell. But, so I lived on toast and coffee and milk. And if I was lucky, I got an apple or an orange.
Oh, did you make any friends at basic training?
Yeah, lots of friends.
Are you still in contact with any of them?
Not from basic, no.
So you graduated boot camp, and then what?
And so the day I graduated, I had duty that night. Graduated, and then they gave us a few hours to go and have a good time because a lot of people's family came. My family didn't come. But we all went to the bowling alley, and I must have joined some friend's family that was there, and I got a lot drunk. I drank a lot of beer. And back then there was no 21 years age, and they let you drink on base. So I showed up on duty at nighttime because it was the midnight shift or the overnight shift that I was supposed to do. But I was drunk, and all I remember was I passed out on the couch. And then the next thing I remember was the drill sergeant was waking me up saying, we got private, you gotta go to school, you gotta go to AIT. And it was like 3 in the morning, and I had the worst headache ever. And luckily I had packed my bags before that. Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
How long were you there for?
I don't remember, but that's where I met up with my sister. Oh, okay, so I graduated October.
Yeah.
And I hated it there. Let's just put it that way. I hated it so bad that I wanted to go and get out of there as fast as I could. So I would started doing the courses before they were due, so that came December, I could graduate and not have to come back. Where my sister, who instead of studying every night and going and doing her courses early, she would go out and party every night to the clubs. So when December came, she didn't graduate. So she got to go home. We both got to go home for Christmas for 2 weeks. But she had to go back to school, and I was sent off to my first duty station in Germany.
Cool.
Because I hated Fort Jackson, South Carolina. So I get to Germany, and I swear I felt so lost. Like I never knew if I was in the right place. Like until you got processed, until I got to my first duty station. And then they sign you in, and you still just feel so lost. And they go, okay, you know, your room is the women are up on the 3rd floor, and it's this huge building, and you go and check in with everybody that you're supposed to, and then they take you to your room, and they give you your key, and there's already someone there because you're sharing this big room. And there's your cot, and there's your closet, unpack, and welcome home.
What would you do, like, when you were at that duty station? Like, what would you do for fun?
Oh, gosh. Once I got to know everybody and had a bunch of friends and stuff, we would get on a train, and we would go to every concert that we could go see. Like Joan Jett and the Heartbreakers, Tom Petty, Jethro Tull. We would go to concerts. I saw Rush. I've seen a lot of concerts, but most of them were there that I remember that were so great. And or we'd go to the clubs, or we just would go visit other cities. You could go anywhere on the train in Germany, and that was fun. The biggest thing was that money didn't stretch as much as things that we wanted to do. That was the hardest part.
What was your rank?
I was an E2.
Okay. And that's only because why?
Because I got my sister and my boyfriend to join with me.
And where's that boyfriend? Did you break up with him after you made him join?
You know that we met up in Christmas. He also got 2 weeks off for Christmas.
To go home for Christmas?
Yeah, so we met up in San Antonio. But after that, we wrote and kept in touch. He went to Virginia, and I went to Germany. And then we just grew apart.
So you guys didn't break up officially?
Not officially, no.
So you're technically still dating?
Officially, sort of. That funny.
Yeah, so after Germany, did you get out? Did you get sent to California?
I got sent to California. Now, the one thing that I do remember loving to do in Germany, and I did this during the day a lot, was I had a bike. I bought a bike.
Okay.
And I would go bike riding all over the place. And sometimes I would go bike riding to go get groceries from the commissary because I liked making my own food. And you got to have like a little cooking thing. It was not allowed, but we did it anyway. But I remember a lot of times that I would get overexcited, and I would buy too many groceries. And then to bike those back, even though you had a basket, was to put in the bags on the steering wheel. It was really hard getting my butt back to the base, but it was a lot of fun. I remember that.
Now, so you were in 81, 82, and 83, right? Mm-hmm. So that was before a lot of the sexual assault and sexual harassment things were put into place. So did you, as a young woman, ever face...
All the time, yes.
Harassment?
Yes.
Assault?
Yes.
Now, did you ever report this to higher? Was there a way to report it? Was there a chain of command for it?
Yes.
Okay. And did they ever give a shit?
Yes.
They did?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So do you want to tell any of your stories?
Well, there was this one. So I worked on the floor and in an office where it was all men, just all men. I was I was a secretary, so I was the only female there. Mm-hmm. There were other women in the unit, but they had their other, like they were in supply or the basement doing, I don't know what else they had, but I was the only secretary on my floor. And so it was a bunch of men. Well, some of the guys that were enlisted like me, like the lower ranks, the E2, E3s, they were pretty graunchy and they would joke around a lot. But there was this one sergeant who was married, and sometimes he would tell them, all right, getting too raunchy, lady in the floor, lady in the room. And then he would make them stop. Mm-hmm. It was funny, and I would laugh, and they would say jokes, and I would laugh. And sometimes, I would think like, what the hell are they talking about? But someone else would intervene and say, all right, that's getting too gross, stop. And they could tell sometimes when I was getting uncomfortable with some of the conversations. So they would monitor themselves. Now, a couple months later, years later, this warrant officer, an older guy, he must have been in his 60s. Maybe he was in his 50s at the time. I don't know, because I was young, 20. To me, he was old.
Yeah.
And he was a warrant officer. And I remember because he thought that, oh, Rachel enjoys all this joking around and da-da-da. He decided that he was going to try to do the same. But when it came from him, it was like disgustingly gross.
Yeah, he's like 30 years older than you.
Well, not only, it wasn't just the age thing, it was just not, it wasn't the joking. He was taking it further, but trying to use it as an excuse that, oh, I'm just joking. I would be on the phone, and this was back, you had to actually have a phone connected to the desk. The phone, I don't know if you guys.
I know what a phone
okay,
is, Mom.
The rotary phones. And so he would come up and he would go, who is it? Who is it? And he would put his head right here next to me. And I'm like, sir, I need to take this call, sir. It was like, what are you doing? Get away from me. And then sometimes, because I guess, like I said, we were on the 3rd floor, I would walk up the stairs and he would hear me coming. So he would come out of his office and deliberately come down the stairs to where my head would reach his crotch. And he wouldn't let me cross the stairs. And that was the last straw. That's when I turned him in and I just said, I don't like the way this man is talking to me. I don't like the way he's coming around getting close, and I certainly don't like what he's doing to me on the staircase, so he needs to stop. And they transferred him out. And I mean, they all called us in, and we all had this big discussion with the general and and all this.
Yeah.
But then he got chipped out of there because I didn't like him, and it wasn't me doing anything wrong. So I remember that. And then there was another time when we were out in what's called bivouac, which is where you pretend war and you go out and spend the night in tents and such. And it was when we were all done, and we had this big party, and we were all drinking, and my very good friend, for some reason, got too drunk, and at one point had talked about my butt and how great it looked in my fatigues or whatever. And I said, well, you better never touch my butt. I don't know what I said, but I told him I would smack his face off or hit him or something. And when I turned around to walk away, he decided he was going to grab me, and he took a nice grab of my butt. And the first thing I thought to do was just turn around, and I just swung right at his face, and his tooth went flying, and he fell back, and so he never touched me again. And I forget what nickname they gave him. And then they actually said that he could press charges on me for assault, but he didn't, because he said, no, she warned me, and I did it, and I deserved it.
Good.
And so that was the end of that story.
You changed from duty stations from Germany to California,
Yes.
make it to California. So
Yes.
what happened in California? Where were you stationed at?
Okay, so my original orders were Fort Ord, California. And if you know California, Fort
Where
Ord
is
is,
that
it's up in Monterey. It's beautiful. It's right by the beach. It's a nice city. Well, I was there maybe a week. Where's that? Is that closer to the ocean? No, it's closer to the desert. Think of Fresno,
Oh, God.
but worse.
Gross.
Middle of nowhere.
Okay.
And it was awful. I mean, we lived and worked in huts from World War II, literally, and drove around in Jeeps, and it was like real army bad, like Gomer Pyle army, like that. Okay, well, for those of you that are my age.
Was it like MASH or whatever?
So, yeah, kind of like that. But they weren't cloth tents. If you know Gomer Pyle, they're those tin tents. They're called Kwanzaa huts.
Gross. Was
Yeah.
it really hot in there?
Oh, it was horrid. It was the worst thing ever.
So.
That's where I met Tracy.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Now her I still keep in contact with. She's my only army buddy that I still know.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So had you gotten better duty stations, you think you would have stayed in longer, or were you just in for the 3 and you said, no, I'm out?
No, as a matter of fact, I was going to re-enlist, and I wanted to go to Japan,
Okay.
but they couldn't guarantee it.
Yeah.
And without a guarantee, I said, well, I'm not going to go to Texas, because I thought that's where they were going to send me, like Fort Hood or some horrid, or back to San Antonio.
So even back in the day, Fort Hood was bad.
I just knew I didn't want to go to Texas. So I didn't want to go there. And I didn't want to go to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. So these were the places that I knew they needed secretaries, and I'm like, I want to go back overseas. I want to go now to Japan. And they wouldn't guarantee it. And I said, well, without a guarantee, I'm out of here.
Hi, Molly. Is it time for your interview too, Molly? You wanted to go back overseas, and they said, no, we can't guarantee it. You were afraid they would send you some shitty place, so you just decided to get out instead?
Yes. Yeah.
When you got out, what'd you do?
I came to San Diego, California.
Okay, and that's where you met?
Jim.
Cool.
Your dad. Okay.
So if someone's thinking about enlisting, but they don't know which branch to join, would you recommend the Army?
No.
Why not? I wouldn't either, but why not?
And again, it's hard for me to say because this was back in the 80s. I'm sure it's different now. But even then, I knew that the Air Force was the better of the services. Everybody knew that. Okay, so when I was in high school, in our senior year, all 4 branches, recruiters came. I'm probably even the Coast Guard, if I can remember correctly. But they must have asked for our academic grades and records because I know that the Air Force didn't approach me because I didn't have good grades in the airport, and the Army did. So here was what I always said. I joined the Army to be a secretary, and they were teaching me how to kill people in a war, which I thought was kind of bizarre because it's not why I joined the Army.
Yeah.
But they kept saying, well, but in case we have a war, you will go. Well, luckily the whole time I was in the Army, there wasn't a war. But
war, right?
Yes, because there was still the Berlin Wall. But I thought, even if there is a war, won't I just go to type the paperwork? I still didn't understand. I did not like weapons. To this day, I don't like shooting guns. I had a really bad problem with the grenade. So the next day it was like, get up, we're marching to the grenade field. We're going to teach you how to do grenades. And I was like, do you guys remember that we had guard duty all night and we didn't get any sleep? And you're going to put a live grenade in my hand? What is wrong with you? And I mean, my hand was like this from the coffee and not sleeping. So we were really tired. And they marched us all the way to the grenade field, and they had these classes that we had to sit in, and everybody was trying to stay awake. It was like this in the hot sun, and it was awful. And you didn't listen to, I didn't hear a thing they said about it. And then they sent us to some place where they were giving us these little fake grenades to make sure that we knew how to throw them. And you pull and you ding. I don't know. I don't remember to this day what they told us. And I was okay with the little fake ones because, you know, it was like fireworks is what it was. Okay, cool. That's fun. Okay, good. But I was so tired and I kept thinking, please don't give me a live grenade. This is not going to go well for anyone. And they're like, but you have to pass basic training and you have to throw a grenade in order to pass. And I said, well, can't we do it another day when I get some sleep? And we were all the girls were like, just dead tired, and we were all afraid of these grenades, and we could hear the live ones because there was, like I said, the guy platoons were all got, you know, each platoon went through the classes and then the little practice ones, and then you stood in this long line to do the actual grenade one where you had to pass the test. So I kept letting people go in front of me. Go ahead. So I was terrified, and you could feel the grenade, like it was real, like it was like the ground would boom, because they kept going off. Because I don't remember, it was all a blur to me, but I do remember that I just couldn't, I was terrified. I thought, I'm going to kill someone, I'm going to kill myself, I don't know what's going to go wrong, but something's going to go wrong. So I kept letting people go ahead of me, and then my drill sergeant saw that I was doing that, so he came and he was like, come on, tacos, and he grabs me by my, they put these vests on you so that hopefully you don't get charred by the grenade, and they took you and he pulled me and said, she's next. And I'm like, I can't do it, you're gonna do it. And I was crying and I was basically having just a fit. The guy that was doing the grading, he's like, Sergeant, she can't throw the grenade, she's gonna throw the grenade. And he stood behind me, and the guy who had the grenade stood there, and my drill sergeant was like behind me, like in a big bear hug. He's a huge, tall, imagine Adam, big, huge dude. And he goes, Private, if you don't throw this grenade when I pull the pin, you're gonna kill us all. It's gonna be on your head. And I'm just sitting there going, I can't do it. And he says, 1, 2, and I'm just like shaking, and I'm standing there, 3. And then he took my arm back, and I don't know what happened, but that was what they were training us, was how to let it go and when it was supposed to be let go. And because I didn't listen, pay attention, I just knew, oh my God, get this thing out of my hand. So he took my arm and he swung it. Well, I let go, and it literally just went poink right over the other wall, just literally like on the other side of the cement. And the next thing I remember is he threw me to the ground. He landed on me, and the guy that was grading landed on him because that grenade was too dang close to the, I mean, most people were flinging it. There was supposed to be a certain distance you were supposed to throw it. I didn't get it that far. And all of us, the 3 of us, I remember we were like a little, and the 3 of us went whoof and lifted off the ground when the grenade hit. It was like, whoom, and I was like, oh my God, and he stood me up. God damn it, you almost killed us. And I said, did I pass? And the guy goes, yes, get out of here, you passed. And I was gone. Oh, that was awful. Yeah, that was bad. And I never had to throw a grenade again. Thank God.
Yes.
I did. No. And there was this one time that we had to, that it was volunteer. And it was like this big, huge competition.
Okay.
And our sergeant decided to make a team out of us youngsters. And so there was, out of the whole competition, and there were platoons that were coming in and teams coming in from everywhere, and you went in the woods and they trained you on and it was a competition of who could finish first. And you had to find your coordinates on a map, and then you had to run and you had to find the marker in the woods, and then you had to go to another station, do a lot of first aid on like hurt people, like bandage something and, you know, tourniquet or whatever. And then you had to go and like build a fire somewhere, and then you had to put a pop tent up. And so all these survival things that you had to do, but we did it as a team, right? So it wasn't just by myself, but it was my guy, all my team. And out of all the teams and all the people that came, we came in second.
That's really good.
And we were the only team that no females except me was in this competition, which I thought was pretty cool. I still have the award for that, so that was kind of exciting.
Was it an award for being female or for?
No, it was an award because we came in second.
That's awesome.
In this huge competition, which was pretty awesome. It impressed a lot of the men that were there and that came to compete. That the only team that had a female in it came in second.
So what else? So I know you also got your driver's license while you were in the Army, correct?
I did. I knew how to drive, but I didn't have a license.
Yeah, you'd been driving since you were 13.
Right, without a license. And then when I got to, I learned how to drive a stick shift in the Army because Jeep was a stick shift. And I got a military driver's license. So they taught me how to drive a stick shift. And then when I came home back to Texas, I finally went and got my driver's license.
Oh, serial killer.
See, it was funny back then in Europe when you went to Germany, and if they found out that you were American, they loved you. They were like, yeah, get in, oh my God, you're from America, where? And they were German and they could speak English, but they were really excited to hear everything they could about America.
Not anymore.
Well, that's what it was when I was there.
Yeah, I know, but now if I go, they're like, get the fuck out of here. You probably have coronavirus.
Well, not now, right? But back then, it was everybody loved you, and everybody liked to get to know you. If they knew you were from America. Yeah, but I'm Mexican. You speak Spanish? That was the coolest thing too. I remember going to a party once, and I spoke Spanish, a little bit of German, and English. There was a guy there that only spoke German. And then there was another guy there that spoke Greek, but he also spoke Spanish for some reason. So the Greek guy would speak to me in Spanish, and then I would translate it to the English guy, because the Greek guy only spoke Greek and Spanish, no English. So it was a weird conversation going around the table that people would pick the language that someone else knew, and then that person had to translate to the other three people that didn't know that language.
That's really cool.
It was very interesting. I know that one time I was in a taxi cab, and I don't know what happened, but the taxi cab started yelling at me in German, and I don't know what happened. And so I just started yelling at him in Spanish. And there we were having a conversation in Spanish and German. And then I just said, pinche cabrón, aquí, and I got out of the car.
Now, can you translate that for the viewers at home that only speak English?
Oh, that's not good.
Go ahead.
Fuck off, asshole. Took out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I came home and told you that I was enlisting, what did you think?
I was happy and excited for sure, yeah. I think it's a great experience. You're young enough to still go and enjoy it and have fun, yeah. I was, you know me, I was supportive of it. I've always been supportive of everything you wanted to do.
Now, what if I'd come home and said, I'm joining the Marines?
I would have said, okay, fine, if that's what you want.
Do you ever wish that you would have stayed and maybe retired?
Yes, most
Really?
definitely.
So you would suggest, everyone's experience is different. Some people want to get out at 4, some people want to get out at 8, some people want to do freaking 19 and then get out, you know?
I regret it because I see Dad now, and he got to retire at 50-something, and I would have been the same had I stayed in.
Dad was in his 40s when he retired, Mom.
Well, okay, that's what I'm saying, yeah. I could have been retired 30 years, and I would have still been...
Young.
30.
Younger.
No, 40.
Like 40
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
All right, well guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and next week I'm going to be interviewing my dad. So if there's anything in this video...
That should be interesting.
He's probably going to walk me around the fucking room, be like, look at this plug and this plug.
The only advice I gave Breann was, don't drink as much as I do, because I forgot a lot about it, and that I do regret.
Drinking too much?
Yes, because again, I forgot a lot about it because I was drinking so much. But it was a hell of a good time. So, but that's all I would say. Take more pictures and don't drink as much as I do.
Yeah.
If you're considering joining the military or any branch of service, and if you have a parent who's like, oh, not now, you know, I don't know. I'm incredibly proud of my daughter, Breann, for joining, because it's a privilege to serve your country, I think. It gives me goosebumps and it makes my heart swell that she's willing to do that. And I know she's going to do well because I know her. But the fact that she's doing that is amazing. And if you're considering it, just do it. Push forward. You won't regret it. Eventually your parents will come around when they see how much it makes you grow, mature, and the person that you become. And so just, you know, take your own life in your hands and make yourself proud, because it is wonderful and it's a wonderful experience. So I wish you all the best of luck. And I'm proud of you if you're considering serving our country. So thank you in advance. Go for it.
Alright guys, well thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions for my mom about anything she didn't touch on, or any specific questions about her time in the Army that you think she might be able to answer, just go ahead and leave it in the comments below, and then I'll have her come on and answer that again.